everyone, welcome. I am very happy to be here today and for the weekend, and especially at this moment because we have such an exciting topic to discuss. I will reintroduce myself maybe, just for the record. I'm Anna Mazgal, I'm Executive Director of Wikimedia Europe, and I will be talking today with our guests about AI and how and when it meets projects of free knowledge such as Wikipedia. Before I introduce everyone, I would like to ask our board member, I wanted to say president, but actually we don't know if she's going to be president or not, right? Because there has been elections. Claudia Garat, to say a few words. No? Okay, she's not here. Well, maybe she is somewhere in the traffic. So then Clara, you may want to. Clara, thank you for creating this opportunity and hosting us.
Yeah, I'm especially grateful that you picked up Prague for the third time, and I'm especially grateful to all the guests who, on the last moment, some of them make a space in their schedule, and then they all can be here with us today. Thank you very much, because I think this topic is quite vibrant, and I must say the topics that are suggested by Wikimedia Europe are usually very inspiring for us, because the last topic as well led to our new advocacy strategy in the Czech Republic, and now we are working with digital broadcast providers in Czech Republic. So for us it was a big step and big push forward, and I hope this tradition will remain the same. And thank you again for doing all this, and have a very nice debate. Also, after the debate, we will have some time to know more about this beautiful building, and I'm very happy and grateful to Česká, spořitelna, who provides this space for NGOs for free. So that's why we can be here. So thanks to them as well, and enjoy tonight.
Okay, so I will quickly introduce who's speaking to us tonight. We will have hopefully a conversation, and we of course invite you also to join. Just because I understand that, and I know that you have lots of thoughts and ideas and questions, as we all do, about the topic. First, we're very lucky to have our special guest today, Věra Jourová, who is Vice-Rector for Development of Human Resources and New Technologies at Charles University, an amazing academic institution. And also was twice a European Commissioner, so this experience to us should also be very inspiring. We would ask you to offer a few remarks. Then we have people who we all know and love and work with to also speak about how actually Wikipedia is, Wikimedia movement and projects such as Wikipedia are actually tackling the topic of AI and also large language models and generative AI, because we know that AI is such a broad term that it really catches a lot of things. So we have with us Franziska Heine, Executive Director of Wikimedia Deutschland, one of our biggest affiliates. Yes. And as we all know, Wikimedia Deutschland is supporting and spearheading Wikidata, so that's also a perspective that comes to mind when we think of AI and what sort of data is actually useful, and how this wonderful project that is going now for quite a few years is actually adapting to the change. We have Elisabeth Carrera, Executive Director of Wikimedia Norway, and you have a very exciting project that focuses on human-centered AI. So what we actually want, right? We don't want the artificial intelligence to be only intelligence in the room. So we would like to hear you on this. We have John Cummings from Wikimedia Sweden, And Wikimedia Sweden is always very interested in policy and advocacy perspectives, and I understand that AI and specifically text and data mining come to mind, and these are also the topics that you will talk to us about. And we have Rebecca McKinnon, VP of Advocacy at Wikimedia Foundation. I understand we can ask you questions about how the foundation and also our global movement is actually tackling this challenge, and what do you see from your perspective as the important challenges that are in front of us. So as you can see, we couldn't dream a better panel today, also including you all, that I hope you will also participate. So I would like to ask Věra Jourová to say a few words. Would you like to maybe take the pulpit? Okay, I will. I think that since we want to also engage you in a conversation, if you have for us 5 minutes. Okay, 7 then.
You can see I have a title, the Vice-Rector for Technologies, and immediately you see how qualified I am for that. Welcome to Prague. I have my office next door, so I think I am authorized to welcome you here. Of course, it's a vibrant topic, and of course we want human-centric AI. And I wanted to say at the beginning that we had something in common, or we have something in common with Wiki people. Of course, I am a passionate user of Wikipedia and all the useful data, but I was responsible in the Commission. I was there 10 years. I was fully responsible for GDPR, then partly responsible for Digital Services Act, and at the end, fully responsible for AI Act. So all that panic which was created around this EU regulation was resonating also in my ears, and we tried to prepare or to create the regulation which will not devastate what you are trying to do. So I hope it's true. As for AI, I think that at this moment we have existential dilemma. Either we will see AI as the source for or cause for emancipation of people, of human beings, or the start of self-destruction. I was last year in Davos. It was interesting. The world leaders were on both sides. On one side, absolute optimism, technological trust, or trust in technology, that yes, this is something fantastic for people. And also on the other side, there were apocalyptics who were saying we have to stop it now, otherwise it will stop us. Where you are here, I will not try you, but I was always somewhere in the middle. I believe in technology which serves the people, but technology which is given meaningful and feasible rules. And that's what we tried to do, first by the ethics standards. I never was secretive about that. I worked on that with Microsoft because they were first, in fact, who had some standards for ethics which contain the condition of full control for the people to be maintained, the algorithms to be auditable and stoppable, that the people have to be at the beginning, during the operation of the algorithm, to be able to know what's happening there, and also the people have to keep the power to say, let's stop it. This is becoming dangerous. Yeah, so that's the important thing there. Full transparency when we people are confronted with AI, or when we see on the screen something, there should be a label informing us that this is the AI production, that it's in the AI Act. I was responsible also for the fight against foreign interference and disinformation. It was absolutely important to come with this label obligation because this information being produced and spread by AI, this is disinformation on steroids. We don't have any chance to stop it or to face the consequences. So that's why the label, which informs the people, wait a minute, this is the AI production. This is very important thing. Non-discrimination, I think that this is a very clear and important thing, what we want to achieve, that we will not copy-paste the injustice and discrimination from real life to brought to the AI sphere. This is a historical chance to have fair AI, but it needs a lot of work and a lot of control. Several years ago, I think it was the boss of Google, Eric Schmidt, who said, "We are still the parents. AI is the child." And I had to agree with him that still we have a chance to teach and educate AI. And then ChatGPT came, and I had a strong feeling that the child started to claim very noisily the driving license. And it was also the source of panic for the legislators, because we were already in the course of working on the AI Act. And suddenly, where there was a basic principle that technology in itself is neutral, no harm, no danger, that technology is dangerous only when badly used by people. And suddenly, the generative AI came, and we had to realize, well, this might be the case when technology can be dangerous without bad usage by people. That's why we added the generative AI also into to the AI Act. I don't have much time, so I will skip it. In fact, the AI regulation is based on risk approach or assessment of risk. Something is prohibited. Something is in the category of high risk. It means that in Europe it requires strong control and possibility to stop it, as I spoke about it before. And some technologies or use cases are low risk, and there is no need to control. The thing which I think is in the center of your interest is the copyright and maybe the protection of the freedom of speech. It's absolutely crucial that the regulation is fully implemented, because it says that copyright must remain the right for the human beings. Yeah? It's the creativity of real people which has to be protected. The same with the freedom of speech. When I hear all that noise about the censorship, and then I see that those who are shouting, they just want to protect the right of the freedom of speech of the robots, of bots. It's totally crazy. And I think that the protection of the freedom of expression has been invented for the human beings as a special privilege, as a special right. And in case we will underestimate the danger and invite the robots to this protective area, I think it will be the end of many things, including the end of democracy, the end of democratic elections, the end of art. You can imagine. So I think that it's not lost case. I think that we, for a good reason, established this rule book. There was a chance to have such a rule book established also in the United States. It was the President Biden's presidential or executive order, which was cancelled by President Trump now. But I believe that we as human beings will be fully aware of the possible risks and apply the rules which minimize or eliminate the risks for the future. So I guess you are watching the case in the United States, the conflict or the claim of I think it's New York Times against AI, OpenAI. We are also waiting here in Europe for this decision. There are some cases also now at European courts. I think that it's absolutely essential that we also have a strong body of of law and decisions of the courts to say what is legal and what is illegal operation of not AI, of those who are making money on AI. Yeah, so that's from my side. I went quickly through everything, but I'm happy to be here till 7. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am a former politician who knows very well this trick. When the danger comes that there will be some questions, I will say I have to run away, yeah? Which will happen at 7. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We are very happy to have you until then, and maybe, hopefully, we can fit some questions to you. And also, I do hope that as we... so this format is not very inducive to have a conversation, like I'm standing over you a bit, but let's try. And I think that we all can share those questions or question marks and also a bit of apprehension when we talk about how AI is coming to claim the spheres that are belonging to humans. I am personally very disappointed that I don't get AI to peel potatoes, but I get it to actually do the work that I love doing, which is thinking. I think that's a bit on its head, so to speak. But here we are. So I hope you don't mind, my dear speakers, that I switch it up a little bit, because we are in this area of where AI meets the humans. So I wanted to turn to you, Elizabeth, because to just continue on this human-centered perspective, because Wikipedia is created by humans, and we hope to that it will stay that way for very many reasons. So I wanted to ask you about what risks are relevant in this particular context.
Well, thank you for that question. Wikimedia Norway, for a while now, we've been working with 2 research teams that are focusing on how societal risks from AI might affect us, taking a human-centered approach. And those teams, the first team called FakeSpeak, they have identified a definite risk, which Mrs. Jourová here also pointed out. AI is incredibly good at producing disinformation. And the FakeSpeak research team, they've been working a couple of years now to identify linguistic structures that identify fake news and disinformation. And they've done that quite successfully. The problem is, AI, the large language models, that's a complete game changer, because they're much better at producing disinformations than humans have ever been. So how does that affect our Wikimedia projects? Well, the FakeSpeak team, they're trying to produce tools to identify fake news. And what they tell us is, your Wikipedians, they're doing what we want our tools to do, based on knowledge, experience, intuition. Of course, it's increasingly difficult now with AI producing all of this potential disinformation. So what is our weapon? How do we counter this risk? Of course, Wikipedians, we have the tool already. What we do typically is we rely on citations. If you make a statement, well, you'd better prove it. You provide a source, you provide a citation. One thing that's worrying me is there is no such requirement when it comes to AI outputs. So we have all of these AI chatbots producing massive amounts of information, and we're not asking them, where have you fetched all of your conclusions? What is the provenance of your knowledge? Hardly any AI chatbots provide citations. And some of those that do provide false citations. And this is where we need help from legislators, policymakers. I'm a bit disappointed that the AI Act doesn't go further in requiring that AI systems provide transparency. The AI Act could help us, disclose disinformation. So in the Act, you have different categories, like Jourová mentioned, and AI chatbots are considered limited risk. And I completely disagree. That is where the public is being faced with the challenges of being an informed consumer of information today. And as long as those chatbots aren't required to be transparent about where their output is coming from, then we have no way of discerning between fake and true. And that's a big risk. And as I said, I think Wikipedians, they have the question to mitigate that risk, reliable citations. So we need traceable data in our AI chatbots. Another risk that our research teams, the second one called AI risk, have focused on is how AI can potentially be inclusive, or it can leave people out of societal processes. And if you transfer that to Wikimedia projects, then consider who our contributors are today. I would like to think that they're a cross-section of society, but really they're not. We have certain groups that are overrepresented, others that are missing. And one thing I'm often surprised by is how many contributors enjoy repetitive tasks. So I think one risk that AI poses now is we can implement a number of tools that help us produce knowledge, share knowledge, but automation moving forward too quickly might alienate our communities. So I think we really need to focus on having the communities control how AI services and AI functions are integrated in our knowledge projects. Luckily, that's the approach that's generally been taken. Our local communities are quite conservative. They wait a long time, sometimes frustratingly long, before they're willing to introduce different tech solutions. But imagine the opportunities. There was a paper last autumn that looked at how AI-generated text was seeping into 4 large Wikipedias. And what the paper said was that quite a few contributors are using AI as a writing tool. They're unsure about their own writing skills, so they're getting help as a tool from AI services, which is a good thing, as long as what you're producing is correct. Also, I just read that something called a peacock check is now being introduced to some Wikipedias, which is great. It's a tool that will help editors produce more nuanced texts. It's there to counter bias, to discover and recommend that you write a more neutral text. There's also a project that aims to help public officials use plain language rather than complicated language. It's been rolled out in Denmark and it's being discussed in Norway. So there's a number of AI potential uses that could strengthen our Wikimedia projects. So I think we need to be conscious of how we can use AI either as an inclusive or an exclusive aid when we compile and share knowledge. And I think those are 2 of the risks that are facing our human-centered projects directly and immediately. So I think I agree with Mrs. Jourová that there are 2 sides to this. Let's not predict doom and only weaknesses coming from how we interact with AI and how we use it in our projects.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I think we will continue on many of the topics that you said. I must say that because I'm a research fan, I'm very excited to see what will come out. And when you can share the results, that would be super interesting to see, also to better understand how those changes are absorbed and used to the advantage of the community, because we are here today to talk about a tool that can have, of course, different uses or different results. And of course, we have to look into the risks and into what is potentially dangerous, and we have to mitigate against before the damage is done. But also, of course, it's great that we can see how that can be useful and how these tools can be helpful to us. And on that note, I wanted to ask you, Franziska, about what are the challenges and opportunities from where you stand, because I know that Wikimedia Deutschland is looking very seriously, because also of the tech expertise that you have in the organization, into this topic and what it actually means for our projects.
I will happily do that, but before I do, I actually wanted to say a big thank you to you, because the legislation we have in place, you can say a lot of things about it, and not everything is great, but I mean, we have something, and that's already worth a lot. And I really hope we see more in the future of that being actually also used, and not just there, because I mean, we know that basically all the big companies with generative AI solutions are doing stuff they're not supposed to do, and we need that. So thank you for that. But now, yes, I want to go to the tech side a little bit, because you're right. We have Wikidata for, well, a lot of years now. You said it, and it's an amazing project, right? I mean, we have over 113 million items, so it's a huge data source, and you can technically do a lot with it. And because it is meant to work especially well with software and machines, it's of course something that's highly interesting for tech products, basically. And it has always been similar to Wikipedia, right? I mean, what we see now with Gen AI chatbots, this is nothing new. Like, it happened with the search engines, it happened with the the Siris and the Alexas that came before generative AI. So it has been the case always. And at least I keep saying when I talk about it, it is also a good thing, right? We are about sharing knowledge and the access to knowledge with as many people in the world as possible. And of course, huge platforms do that. And when they do it in a transparent way, like for a long time, good old days, when Google showed our results with a link and people knew where it came from, right? And it was mentioned already that became a lot more difficult with generative chatbots. But I would slightly disagree. I think there are, I would say most solutions today, they do give you also the sources where information is coming from. But we thought long and hard, what do we do? Like, in which way do we want to enter that field, and what contribution can we give? Yeah. And I said we have a lot of data, and that is true, but it's also true that that data it has been created by many people, right? We have over 12,000 volunteers doing that all across the world. But it also means it's not in a, so the term is ontology, like the way the data is structured is not very clean. Yeah? So you have to do work with that data in order to use it, if you want to work with it for Gen AI chatbots, for example. And of course, there's only a handful of companies in this world who can do that, because they're the only ones who have the power and the technology to do that. And we said that that's not cool, that's not right, that's not how we want things to be. If that data is useful for someone, we want it to be useful for people like us, for open source people, for people who do small projects and who would never, ever have access to this kind of data. And it's not a lot of data, it's also very high quality data. You said it before, like we have the citation, like we link it back to a source, and that's also what happens with Wikidata. And that is very valuable. It's just that the average developer cannot access that. And that's why we decided to do a project where we transform the linked structured data we have into a vectorized version. Like in the end of the day, it's a database, but it is a database that makes it possible for more people to use that data for their own purposes. And it does that with a lot less of the energy consumption that also comes along usually with if you train large language models. So that's the approach we choose. But again, like we were only able to do that because of all the work that happened beforehand. And another aspect that is important to me is that even this linked data we have is in itself, in a way, an AI. It's not generative AI. It's not something that works in a probabilistic way, which is what creates all those errors, right? It just guesses. It guesses what is the next word that makes most sense, and I take that. The symbolic AI we have when we talk about linked open data, this is based on logic. Like that will never, ever start to do these strange, weird combinations of things just because it's probable. It works based on its structure and its logic. And that gives it a lot of good things that Gen AI chatbots don't have. And I also don't want to sound like one of those people that say we are all doomed. But I would want us to speak more nuanced about that technology when we speak about it, because there's a lot of great use cases for it. Like in science, in medical settings, there it makes a lot of sense. I till this day don't know why whenever we talk about AI, the first thing we speak about is this weird chatbot thingy. And that, I think, is also a contribution we can give to this world, make the dialogues about that more nuanced, be very specific about what is it that we talk about. Also, when it comes to our community, so what I keep hearing when we have those questions, what would be a meaningful use for volunteers? The thing I keep hearing most often is really, well, tools that help us do the job that is really tiresome and where there's a lot of work to do and we never can catch up with it. That's something where we would love to have help with. And I think that makes a lot of sense. That for me would also be something where I feel like, yeah, that's a good use case. But that's the thing, like looking at it step by step. Does it make sense in that case? Maybe yes. In that case, no. And I would agree with you. We're very good in having those kind of conversations, even if they take longer sometimes. And now I shut up.
Franziska, I think what really sort of brings it home for all of us, whether we're interested very keenly in AI or just see it as some phenomenon that is looming over the world, is the sort of equalizing function that our movement generally wants to bring to the world. So if it comes to access to knowledge, but also access to tools, I think this is a very poignant point to make, that if we leave this technology that is only available to those who have already the most money, the centralization of resources in the world will be even bigger in all possible aspects, right? And that also, I think, is about creativity, right? Because creative industry brings specific revenue, and if there is recapture of that revenue from humans to basically through machines to those who are ready to deploy those machines, then it also means that human creativity is devoid of value, of commercial value, right? And that is an issue. And since we're there, we cannot, of course, not touch about, maybe not specifically this point, but protection of creativity, but also the places where it's actually good that data and information is released for the machines, because, and we also work on this approach, right? We want Wikipedia to be used because that's reliable information, right? So it's better that the AI, the large language models, train on Wikipedia than on Reddit. I think we can all agree. And I wanted to ask you, John, about the part where the recent developments in technology and what we see with also the appetite for data meets policy amidst legislation, and specifically text and data mining, because I know that you, as the AI coordinator, do I remember correctly, at Wikimedia Sweden, and the Swedish chapter are looking very intensely into actually assessing this and doing work on this. Please walk us through this a bit.
Sure, thank you so much. Can you all hear me? Is it working? Perfect. Okay, I'll hold a bit closer. There we go. I think like what might be helpful is like talking about where Wikimedia might sit in terms of like the players within AI, and then also talking about like what the big companies are actually doing versus what like the regulations might say. So yeah, just to introduce myself, my name's John Cummings. I've been working with Wikimedia and the UN system for about 10 years now. I work on a project with Wikimedia Sweden that looks at different attitudes to AI within Wikimedia. We keep getting, as a like movement, we keep getting asked what should like different regulators do about AI, or like how they should think. And currently, we don't really have a kind of a community-wide agreement on what that might be. Just to say, the project is funded by Knowledge Right 21, which is like given out through IFLA, which is the International Federation of Libraries Associations. And I think that's kind of where Wikimedia sits. It sits with libraries, it sits with academia. It's really like a, I think that's kind of where we might like to think about where we sit within this. How do I put this? We represent like hundreds of thousands of content creators who are rights holders. Eric Luth, who I work with at Wikimedia Sweden, has done a really nice outline of this at the IP Law Review, the Stockholm IP Law Review. If you want to go and find it, it's like issue number 2 of 2024. Really nice sort of kind of outline of the different laws that how this works with. Yeah, I think that as others have said, like there's different aspects to AI. Like it can be used in like researching cancer cures and like working in cultural heritage organizations. And like just as an example, Wikimedia Sweden's doing something called WikiSpeech, which is looking at text-to-speech, like a accessibility tool. I think one of the things that I haven't heard so far is like how much money is in this. Like the biggest companies in the world are betting the farm on that AI works. You know, like the NVIDIA, which makes the chips for AI, or most of the chips for AI, and I think you can't get them in China anymore. They're the top most valuable company in the S&P 500. Yeah, I think, how do I put this? So I've written some notes on my phone. I'm just trying to integrate what other people have said. I think like there are many industries in the world that are extractive industries that factor in fines and lawsuits into their business model. And they also do things like do one thing in one jurisdiction and sell things in other jurisdictions. Like there are many high street shops in Europe that I don't want to think about where the clothes come from. You know, like I think like just specifically to AI, if we think about where the content comes from, there's a very popular data set that is used by the big AI companies, but also others, called the Pile. It's got its own Wikipedia article. You can go and read about it. English Wikipedia is one part of it, but there's also, I've just written down the statistics here, like 8 gigabytes of YouTube subtitles. So transcripts of like individual content creators' work just in there. 100 gigabytes of pirated books. It's called Books 3. So this is like a big chunk of the commercial book publisher's work. And 20 gigabytes of subtitles from a website called Open Subtitles. So this is this is like transcripts of all TV series and movies online, kind of like missing a little bit. But I think there's like so much, how do I say this? AI touches on so many things, not just copyright, not just like, you know, intellectual property, environmental regulation, for instance. You know, most large tech companies are reducing their climate change commitments because they're using so much energy to generate large language models. So the Twitter AI software Grok, that's run on fossil fuel generators on the back of trucks in Memphis because they don't want to pay for environmental permits. You know, AI is 2% of the world's energy use at the moment. It's going to go up to 4%, the International Energy Agency think, by next year, end of next year. And the prediction is like 9% by 2030 of all the electricity in the whole world. Yeah, I feel like I'm not directly answering the question, but I think that like, if we go back to like how we think about this in terms of regulation, AI companies are spending so much money on this, so much money on both lobbying and also the public narrative around this. You know, when we hear these kind of like positive stories, they come from the AI companies. All those like AI generate, you know, yourself as an old person, or like your health. The latest one I saw is AI is yourself as an action figure. That's like the kind of little treats that the AI companies are producing. I'll just like finish with one thing. There's I've forgotten the name of the person. Someone mentioned him earlier. He was a Google executive. Eric Schmidt. He was asked last year at a conference, what should we do about climate change and AI generation? And he said, to paraphrase, we should kind of give up on our climate change commitments because AI will solve it. I'm not sure that's like a particularly safe way of approaching things. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Not exactly what I asked, but that's okay, because obviously we cannot cover in an hour everything, and I think it's very inspiring. This last quote, which is really a Machiavellian response to the question, also, you know, brings me to, you know, to the saying that insanity is to try and solve the problem in a way that created it. So here we are, I guess. Yeah, let's. But I will insist that we stick to policy, and I wanted to bring you, Rebecca, into the conversation because you are at the place, this watchtower that is basically looking at the global shifts in everything Wikimedia, and for you specifically policy. And it's interesting because, of course, Wikipedia as a project, which is the creativity again of people. I also feel like we started calling people humans just because of AI, and I don't know if I'm completely on board with that, so I'll try to avoid. But sorry, digressions. I wanted to say that Wikipedia is both like a source of data and good content, and basically better than, as we know, social media, for example. But also, it's a content that AI can increasingly generate on its own, right? And as we saw examples from Elizabeth, people use it, hopefully, to just help them when they are stuck, right? But this article can be written very quickly, right? If we prompt ChatGPT, at least in theory. Whether it can be used, that's another thing, right? So I wanted to ask you what you see from your perspective as key challenges, and what are the policy responses and regulatory responses to them, if you have those €1 million answers.
Well, thank you. I'll take €1 million. And I agree with you about humans. We are people. Yes. But there's much I want to say, but I want to start with this question of, amidst this landscape that we've heard, what does the world need from us, the Wikimedia community? What can we bring uniquely to this moment that others cannot? And one thing that I hear from policymakers around the world, and just rising to mind, I've heard from people in the French government, a Hungarian official, a Nigerian official, just a number of conversations with people from various countries all expressing the same concern, which is the concern that in a world of AI-generated content, their languages and cultures are going to get wiped out even more quickly. And of course, my response is, we're Wikimedia, we're here to help, right? We can be a big part of that response and solution if governments partner with us in protecting and supporting free knowledge, which includes protecting and supporting human rights online. Also thinking about how can we ensure that regulation protects knowledge created and shared by people, enables and supports, whether it's business models or models of public interest participation that supports civic life, that governments are supporting these forms of activity and creation of knowledge. I like knowledge better than content for the same reason I like people better than humans. And so partnering with governments that are concerned about this problem to figure out what are the policy and regulatory responses that can lead to this result that we would like, which is that no, your cultures and languages and knowledge from your communities about people in your communities, from your own people's perspectives, not just the perspectives of people in California and Shanghai. How do we ensure that continues to thrive and gets better? And we need to work together. And so a few things, just coming back to some of the challenges and really opportunities that we face today. One of the things, as many of you have mentioned, Wikipedia in particular, and other content from other Wikimedia projects such as Wikidata, is a major source of content for large language models. Basically all large language models of any size are using Wikipedia. And so that's an opportunity as well as a challenge, in that on the one hand, it means that increasingly people are interacting with Wikipedia and other Wikimedia project content, not on the projects themselves, not on the website, but elsewhere. And so this is where attribution, the citation of where it's coming from becomes important. Also, just to continue to motivate Wikipedians to do your work, because if nobody knows that it's coming from Wikipedia, nobody's going to come and contribute and value Wikimedia projects as the source of the reliable knowledge, right? And at the same time, because Wikimedia projects are so important for large language models, of course our impact is greater than ever before. There's never been a time when powerful governments, companies, political parties have cared so much about what Wikipedia says about them. And so their interest in manipulating Wikipedia content is greater than ever before. So we're all facing threats that are greater than ever before. Of course, we're using some machine learning to help address those threats, some of which you Elizabeth talked about with the peacock checks to look at biased language, but also machine learning that helps to check sources, to help editors improve sources, helps editors patrol bad behavior, et cetera, using all of these AI tools to help improve the integrity of the projects and fight against attacks. We also, of course, have to be responsible in how we're developing these tools. We're a nonprofit, but we still have the same accountabilities as any large platform. We're a VWAP, of course, under the DSA. My colleague Ricky Gaines back there led the our first ever human rights impact assessment for machine learning and AI on the projects, and the results of that will be published soon. And so we recognize that we need to be accountable. These need to be developed in partnership with the communities who are using the tools themselves and with communities who are affected by the information, and to be transparent about how this is all happening, that is also important. And so we welcome regulation that encourages that, and along with regulation that requires attribution. But also the other kind of issue brings us down to bread and butter. You mentioned freedom of expression and also privacy. Without strong human rights online, protections for human rights online, then our editors are vulnerable, because of course Wikipedia is only valuable if the largest number of people possible from the most diverse backgrounds possible can safely contribute to the projects without fear of retribution. So not only do their freedom of expression need to be protected, so they can't be suited to oblivion or jailed for what they put on the wikis, but also their privacy, their right to anonymity, the right to communicate, you know, not just on the wikis, but with one another, with secure tools. That's very important. And so we welcome policymakers who are thinking holistically about these challenges, and also the relationship between what all of us are doing, what all the communities we support are doing, and the future of open societies, and how we all really need one another. So I could go on all night, but I will stop, because I would love to hear some reactions from Professor Jourová in the final minute.
Oh, I have to leave.
Very clever.
Yes, indeed, before we were very sorry you cannot stay with us longer, but of course we understand, but I'm sure that,
you may offer us further thoughts and inspiration. I see the notes, I see the exclamation points.
Thank you very much. I will probably not use them because I don't have glasses. I cannot read it, so you are safe. No, this was very interesting for me because it's very close to what I was doing, but still I was not able to look at it from your perspective. For instance, what you just said, Rebecca, about the anonymity. Well, we are seriously discussing the need to introduce digital identity of individuals. Well, I am not there anymore, don't worry, yeah? But when you realize, just look at how DSA is constructed. There are obligations for you as the platform, and there are obligations for the enforcer, which is the Commission and the Member States offices. Where is the user? Where is the responsibility of the individual user? Nothing. There are just nicknames, bots, and the whole system looks like we have to protect the freedom of speech of everybody who is bringing some content. Well, it's becoming a problem with the disinformation, which you also mentioned. In this era, it's already not possible to win the battle against the AI production. In Czechia, we have, who is from Czechia here? Okay, so you know the system of trolls versus elves. Have you heard about it? Trolls are those who are producing disinformation, yeah? You know them very well. And in Czechia, we have a big, fantastic organization of elves who are countering that, and who still, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, were doing fantastic things to enter the discussions under the articles and do the fact-checking. Now they are telling me, we cannot do it, because that's the big army just created by AI, and the human beings are not able to win it. Yeah? So we should not resign on looking for the solution of it. I see always the solution in the principle of do and undo, and this is what I always was telling the technologists. When you are producing some technology, you should do immediately also something to create the antibodies. So if you enable the space for this information, you should enable the same space for doing the fact-checking, also by the means of AI. Yeah. So we are discussing it at the Charles University. By the way, we are developing the language model for 24 languages of the EU, so you can look at it. And we believe that it's the right thing to ask the technologists to always create the undo system. Yeah? So I think that this is also one of the obligations in the AI Act. Human wisdom, no, people's wisdom must keep supremacy over artificial intelligence. I wanted to mention it because I still think that without the positive thinking and positive creativity of the real people, we cannot use the full potential of AI. And still we have the control over that. So it's very good. It's very good what I heard from you, that you are not resigning, that you want to use this technology, but in a safe and reliable way. And it's a very similar thing to what we are doing at the university, because for us AI, for research, for science, for education, AI is a fantastic opportunity, great potential. At the same time, a bit of a headache. Yeah? Can you imagine the nightmare? The student will use fully the AI for producing the thesis, and the teacher, the lazy teacher, we don't have lazy teachers at Charles University, but just it's a theoretical thing. The teacher will decide to also do the testing by means of AI, and then the people disappeared in such model. Also in Vienna, we saw that at the Vienna Art School, they already admitted the AI student. And have you heard of it? I am a lawyer, so for me it was like a red rug. Yeah, when the explanation was, yes, we can accept for study the AI student, because there is nowhere written that students must be people. Does it sound stupid? But they mean it. And so my question is, okay, so Caligula brought the horse to the Senate, yeah? Should we, I don't know, take tigers, or because there is nowhere written that tigers are not allowed, yeah? So I just want to warn against that, also if you see, and it's for, you are Rebecca? No, you're Rebecca. Elizabeth. What you said, that what you are doing is the high-risk sphere. There is an obligation for the Commission to do permanent check of the newly appeared risks. And the Commission has the right to do the new items under the high-risk case uses without the permission of the Member States and the Parliament. Yeah? It's a quick thing. That's why, because we wanted to be able to react quickly on some new high-risk case uses. So please watch the space. Last comment on inclusiveness. We have in the EU the strategy for digital development, which is called Digital Compass. And there is written that by 2030, we will have, I think, 80% of citizens who will be able to do everything, all the use of public services and bank accounts and so on, with the usage of digital technologies. Fine, happy people. What shall we do with the remaining 20%? And that's why I'm glad that you mentioned inclusiveness, because it is connected with the big risk of AI poverty. Yeah? And I think that we should really be very, very careful not to develop the system which will open the scissors of social inequalities. And also the teaching of the data. I remember the Japanese minister, again in Davos, we discussed a lot there, the AI last year, who was complaining that the big models are being taught on the data of middle-aged white men only. Yeah? So where are women, for instance? I don't care so much about the Japanese ministers, but the women were missing as well. Yeah? So I think that there are these very heavy topics which must be discussed at the highest level for the sake of the safety of the people's healthy development. Should I stop?
I mean,
yes, I have to go.
That was my only
yeah, I have to go. I just want to, if you ask AI, what is this good for? There would be probably some very artificial response for some liquid. A human being has to ask, it's too small for coffee and it's too big for vodka. I will have to think about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And well, we're here next year, so I hope that we can extend an invitation again and maybe continue.
I will not drink too much of
okay. Thank you so much.